You'll be fine going to the hospital alone, right? I swear, I'll send you straight to hell. My name is Lisa, and I'm currently 9 months pregnant. This is my first child, and although I'm filled with anxiety, I also feel blessed to be welcoming a new life into our family. My husband, David, works a white-collar job and has weekends off. Still, he offers little help around the house or with errands. He usually spends weekends at his parents' home, just because he feels like it. They live nearby, and he's very attached to them. Since becoming pregnant, I've avoided lifting heavy things. When I need items like rice, kind friends often help me. My daily routine starts early. I prepare breakfast for David and send him off to work. Then clean, do laundry, run errands, and prep dinner. Only after all of that do I finally get a moment to myself. Now that I'm on maternity leave, I've started a new hobby, blogging. I write daily diary entries and post photos of things like home-cooked meals, the sky, or blooming flowers. Friends often leave kind comments, and it's become a small joy in my day. One evening, while I was making dinner, David came home. As always, he tossed his bag and jacket on the sofa, and I quietly hung them up. "Welcome back. I made hamburgers tonight," I said. "I'm taking a bath," he muttered, heading straight to the bathroom without another word. We've been married for 3 years, but his warmth and consideration have faded. I often wonder if this is what marriage is supposed to be, but I've learned to live with it. When he came back in pajamas, I handed him a drink. "Where's the beer?" he asked, scanning the bar. I'm sorry, I forgot to pick some up. I'll go tomorrow." "Seriously, go to the convenience store now." His tone sharpened with irritation. I was stunned. How could he ask that of me, knowing I was heavily pregnant? "If it's that important to you, maybe you should go get it yourself. It's hard for me to move around like this." His face darkened with anger. "You forgot it. It's your responsibility to fix that. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you're special. My mom always said staying active is good for your health." Knowing how he gets when he's angry, I gave in and went out to the store. At the convenience store, I bumped into our neighbor, Sarah. "Oh, Sarah, good evening." "Hey, Lisa, forgot something too." I ran out of sauce. Her cheerful voice was a small comfort. "My husband asked for beer, so here I am. Couldn't he just come get it himself?" That's what I said, but he wasn't hearing it. "Sounds rough, Lisa." We chatted a bit and parted ways. When I got home, David was on the couch watching TV. He hadn't even cleared his plate. "What took you so long? Stop dawdling and give me the beer." His grumbling tone made my heart sink, but I said nothing and quietly cleaned up dinner. I wanted to snap back, but I didn't want to start another fight, so I kept quiet. Later that night, I ate my own dinner, took a bath, and went to bed. The next morning, David acted like nothing had happened. He always forgets his behavior after a good night's sleep, but I remembered every word, and I ignored him on purpose. "What's with the attitude this early? Don't take it out on me. I'm heading to work. Try showing some appreciation." I wanted to shout "That's rich coming from you," but I was too stunned to respond. I just sighed and saw him off. "Be careful, I want dinner tonight, Vi." And with that, he rushed out the door. After finishing the housework, I went shopping. Since David had said he wouldn't be eating dinner, I only made a simple meal for myself. But in the evening, just as I sat down to eat, David came home unexpectedly. "I'm back." "Welcome home, but didn't you say you weren't eating dinner tonight?" "Yeah, well, the drinking party was cancelled. I'm hungry. You've got food, right?" "I only made enough for myself." His face twisted in frustration. "Seriously, you didn't even consider the chance I might come back. Unreal." He glanced at the food and scowled. You call this dinner? Are you even trying as a housewife? Stop wasting my money." "I just made something quick for myself. There's no need to get so upset." "Maybe you should learn to cook like my mom. Your food's always been mediocre." Again, the comparison. Does he not realize how cruel that is? "I'm not eating this. Go buy something." That crushed me. "It's late. And I've already bathed. Can't you go? Forget it. First the beer, now dinner. I'm done. I'm going to my parents. And with that, he stormed out. Strangely, I felt relieved. The next morning, as expected, his mother called. How could you not feed David properly? This feels like harassment. I tried to explain, but she wasn't listening. I apologized and ended the call. I tried to relax and had a late brunch. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about David's return. I decided to make a special dinner, his favorite dishes and beer included. I cut my blogging time short to cook with extra care. The result looked like something out of a magazine. I was proud. He'll be happy with this, I thought. I waited, but David didn't come home. I called him repeatedly. No answer. Hours passed. Worried, I called his parents, but he wasn't there either. Just before midnight, David finally stumbled in, clearly drunk. I'm home, Hick. He collapsed in the hallway. What happened? Are you okay? Too loud, go away. When I tried to help him, he shoved me off. Don't touch me, don't come near me with that ugly face. I can't believe you're my wife. Those words cut deep. I had spent all day preparing for him, and this was his reaction. I ate dinner alone, fighting back tears. The next morning, David woke up as if nothing happened. My head hurts. Ooh, I drank too much. Why did you leave me in the hallway? You lay there yourself, David. I didn't force you. You're my wife. You should take care of me when I'm drunk. I couldn't believe he was blaming me again. If you weren't eating at home, you could have at least told me. I cooked everything and called you so many times. Why didn't you answer? My drinking party was rescheduled. Do I have to report every little thing? You know how hard it is to answer the phone at a party. Think about my situation. Each word drained the warmth from my heart. Bit by bit, my expectations for him vanished. I've decided that I won't let myself feel hurt or disappointed any longer. It kept running through my mind. Tomorrow, I'm taking a break and going back to my parents' house. Lately, being with you has become unpleasant and tedious. David's condescending attitude has made me think more and more about the possibility of a divorce. Our baby's arrival is imminent, and my excitement grows by the day. While I've heard the painful stories of labor from friends, the joy of meeting the life growing inside me outweighs my concerns. The neighbors often reassure me with words like, "It won't be much longer now," which always lifts my spirits. Then David surprised me when he suggested, "How about a family trip soon?" "Really?" I replied, confused. "You mean a family trip with my parents too?" I was taken aback. Why would my parents suggest something like that? There's tension between me and David's family, especially when it comes to issues regarding him. They always seem to place the blame on me, like with that phone call incident. But this trip proposal left me feeling uneasy. I'm about to give birth, and traveling such a long distance might be risky. David quickly dismissed my concerns. "How many times do I have to tell you? Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you're sick. My parents are being considerate by inviting us. What's the worst that could happen?" "But what if something does happen?" I asked. "It'll be fine. Everything's settled. We're going for 2 nights and 3 days next week," he replied confidently. "Next week? That's right around my due date. I'm not sure about this," I protested. "Just do as you're told. Pack for the trip." End of discussion. And with that, he walked away, leaving me in disbelief. I thought, I'm in serious trouble now. The next day, I spoke to a close friend about it, and she was concerned. That's a lot to handle right now. I was still trying to figure out how to decline when, without warning, the day of the trip arrived. "Actually, I'm not feeling well today. I'm really worried about the baby, so I think I'll stay home and rest." I attempted to get out of it, but David wasn't buying it. "Don't worry, you can rest in the car, it'll be fine. Hurry up and grab the luggage. We're going to my parents' house." As we walked to the car, I was anxious and asked, "Are you sure this is okay?" But as I settled into the passenger seat and felt something warm at my feet, I realized my water had broken. "Oh no, my water broke," I cried, alerting David. "David, I think my water broke. Please, take me to the hospital right away." David looked stunned. Are you serious? He asked, still in disbelief. Yes, I'm serious. The baby could be coming. We need to get to the hospital. I was panicking now, but as I tried to clean up the water, David suddenly opened the passenger door. David, what are you doing? We need to go to the hospital. I was horrified. Get out, you're going to make a mess in the car. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What are you saying? I need to get to the hospital. Don't you care? He pulled me out of the car forcefully. We were supposed to be going on a family trip. Just go to the hospital on your own. I stood there in shock. Wait, you can't just leave me here like this. But he drove off, leaving me behind. Desperate, I called for an ambulance. Just then, someone asked, Lisa, are you okay? It was Sarah, looking at me with concern. Sarah immediately recognized the situation and arranged for a taxi. She stayed by my side the entire way, offering me comfort and reassurance. Grateful for her kindness, I felt tears welling up. I arrived at the hospital safely. Thanks to her, she held my hand and kept me calm until I was settled in my room. As the labor pains intensified, I made a silent vow. David would pay for this. Even as the pain grew, Sarah stayed by my side, comforting me. She also reached out to my parents, who arrived soon after, looking very worried. Sarah pulled my parents aside and whispered, There's something I need to discuss with you. The three of them left the room, leaving me to focus on the growing pain. My phone buzzed, and I noticed it was from David. My parents looked displeased, but I answered anyway. Help me, David's panicked voice came through. I didn't have the energy to talk to him. I ended the call and switched off my phone, but he kept sending messages. As the labor pains grew more intense, I was transferred to the delivery room. After a while, I finally heard the cry of my baby. Exhausted but relieved, I saw my parents and Sarah standing nearby, all smiles. I closed my eyes in relief and allowed myself a moment of rest. A few hours later, I woke up in the hospital bed. My parents were sitting next to me, looking worried but relieved. Are you okay? My mother asked softly. Still drained, I couldn't find the energy to sit up. My father was teary-eyed, and my mother comforted him. The postpartum period can be tough. I smiled as I watched them, feeling a warmth in my chest. How's the baby? I asked. My parents assured me that the baby was fine, but undergoing some tests. They mentioned that Sarah had already left. She left a while ago, my mother explained when I asked. I felt a deep sense of gratitude for Sarah. Without her, I didn't know what I would have done. I promised my parents that once I was discharged, I'd visit Sarah to thank her properly. As I checked my phone, I saw a barrage of missed calls from David. The number overwhelmed me, but I didn't feel any hope. I closed the notifications and moved on. One of my friends came to visit to congratulate me on the baby. After chatting for a while, I shared the troubling events with her. She was shocked and furious, joking about punishing David, but stressing that my health was the top priority. After a while, she left. My parents, who had been informed by Sarah about everything, asked what I planned to do next. I'm thinking of divorce, I told them, and they immediately supported me. When I was discharged, I planned to stay at my parents' home, where they had prepared a room for me. David tried to visit, but the hospital staff refused him entry, respecting my wishes. The next day, Sarah came to visit with a fruit basket. I'm so glad to see you recovering well, but be careful not to overdo it. Postpartum fatigue can really take a toll, she said with a smile. I felt comforted by her words and sighed in relief as I took the basket from her. I can't thank you enough, Sarah. I don't know what I would have done without you, I said, bowing deeply in gratitude. Sarah laughed softly. The most important thing is that you and the baby are healthy. I just want a little help in return. That's all. I'm always grateful for you. I'll come visit properly once everything settles down, I promised. She laughed warmly, and then said, I spoke to my husband about what happened. He's furious. I could sense what David's reaction might have been. I'm so sorry for dragging you into all this, I apologized. Sarah's tone changed then, becoming firmer. Don't worry, remember, who helped you land your job at the company. It was only then I realized Sarah was the wife of the CEO where my husband worked. I had no idea when we first met in the neighborhood. We'd run into each other at local shops, and over time, we grew closer. We even had tea together, during which I learned more about her husband's job. David had no idea about any of this, especially since he never took part in our initial neighborhood introductions and avoided interacting with the neighbors. Sarah had always asked, "Do you want me to talk to my husband about what's happening?" But I always declined, not wanting to trouble her. But now, it seemed Sarah had reached her limit. That's why David kept calling her. "I can't thank you enough for everything," I said once more. Sarah's words made me realize just how lucky I was. I never imagined I would have someone like Sarah, who would go to such lengths for me. Her support made me tear up. She smiled warmly at me and said, "Lisa, you're a dear friend. I can't just stand by when something like this happens to someone I care about." Our conversation was filled with genuine smiles, but despite the warmth between us, my husband's messages kept coming in. The constant barrage of notifications didn't sway me. My mind was made up. The divorce was what I needed. I focused on my baby and my future, determined to find peace and clarity. As I prepared to leave the hospital, a close friend came to visit and handed me her phone. "I want you to see something," she said. On the screen was a post that had gone viral on social media. I asked her about it, and she explained that she had shared my husband's behavior on her platform. My friend had a significant social media following, and one of her followers had captured a video of the moment my husband kicked me out of the car. The follower, wishing to protect my privacy, blurred my face before sharing it. The video spread quickly, and soon, people had pieced together details about my husband's life and even his workplace. I had no idea the situation would escalate like this. My husband was now facing intense criticism online, and the whole situation was snowballing. With a smile, my friend commented, "Well, they brought this on themselves, didn't they?" Apparently, when one of my husband's friends confronted him about the incident, he claimed it was due to a pre-planned trip with his parents. This excuse only fueled the fire, and soon, not just my husband, but his parents were also facing backlash. The story spread, even reaching the neighborhoods around my in-laws, sparking even more controversy. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. My friend glanced at the screen and said, "Why don't you pick up and let her have it?" But I had nothing left to say. I was exhausted, and the thought of engaging with any of them seemed pointless. So I ignored the call. Missed calls from my husband and in-laws quickly filled the screen, but I couldn't bring myself to care. The hospital staff, aware of the situation, were incredibly supportive. They even kept my in-laws and husband from contacting me during my stay. The day of my discharge, I was still worried about running into my husband and his parents outside the hospital, but my parents reassured me that I had nothing to worry about. However, my anxiety was heightened by the thought of my baby's safety. But just as I was about to leave, I heard my husband's voice shouting, "Lisa," followed by the unmistakable sound of my in-laws. Before I could react, men in black suits surrounded me, creating a protective barrier. One of the men opened the car door gently and said, "Don't worry, we are here at Sir's request to ensure your safety." It was clear that my parents were prepared for this, and my mother smiled at me reassuringly. I felt a sense of relief as I got into the car, leaving my husband and in-laws behind, helpless against the presence of the bodyguards. The gratitude I felt toward Sarah was indescribable. I wanted to find a way to repay her kindness. My parents shared the same sentiment, and we all agreed that we had to find a meaningful way to show our appreciation. Though my new life was beginning on a positive note, my husband and in-laws didn't stop trying to contact me. I mailed the divorce papers, but there was no sign of acceptance from them. One day, my in-laws called, and my father answered. They told him that I shouldn't complain, as I was still part of their family. My father, angry, sharply retorted, causing them to quickly hang up. It became clear that the next step was to get professional help, so we decided to consult a lawyer. Luckily, my father knew a lawyer, and after hearing our situation, he promised to assist us. The lawyer reached out to my husband on our behalf, and his initial shock was evident. Over time, however, he became defiant. "We'll work things out ourselves. We don't need a lawyer," he said flatly. The lawyer, however, remained calm and responded, "I'm acting on Lisa's request. From now on, any communication should go through me. It's up to Lisa whether she wants to involve a lawyer or not." My husband seemed at a loss for words, but eventually, he reluctantly agreed to the divorce when the possibility of court mediation was brought up. He claimed, "I don't care about the child, and I won't be involved. As for the property, I didn't do anything wrong." The lawyer calmly explained the legal implications, but my husband wasn't convinced. "In that case, we'll meet in court," the lawyer said. Upon hearing this, my in-laws panicked and quickly agreed to settle. When I heard about the decision from the lawyer, I was shocked that I had ever been married to someone like this. While talking to Sarah, I shared the latest developments, and she humorously suggested, "What about seizing your ex-husband's retirement pay? Garnishment sounds like an option, right?" Her wit left me both amazed and a little overwhelmed. A short time later, the lawyer informed me that my husband wanted to apologize in person. I agreed to take the call, but only under the supervision of the lawyer. The day of the call arrived. I was with my parents and the lawyer when the conversation began. On the other end of the line, my husband immediately launched into accusations, saying, "You ruined everything. It's all your fault. You have to come back home. The house is a mess. I might lose my job, and no one is supporting me. You need to take responsibility." I stayed calm, waiting for my moment, when he insulted me, saying, "See, you can't even respond. You're a woman with no redeeming qualities." I finally spoke up. "This conversation is being recorded. I'll keep this as evidence. Goodbye," I said, and immediately ended the call. My husband's shocked voice echoed from the other end. "Wait, you recorded it? That's not fair." I was joking. "I'm sorry. I can't live without you. Let's try again. We loved each other, right? I promise I'll try harder." I hung up without hesitation. I handed the recording to the lawyer, asking, "Can this be used as evidence?" The lawyer shook his head in disbelief. He's beyond help. My parents, equally disappointed, decided once and for all to sever ties with him. Though I had expected anger, I felt more astonished by his behavior. Somewhere deep inside, a small part of me actually took a little pleasure in the drama, savoring the feeling of reclaiming control. The divorce proceedings went smoothly, property and child support were settled without issue, and the chaos finally began to subside. Thanks to the information Sarah shared with her husband, the CEO of my ex-husband's company, my husband was promptly disciplined and lost his job. Unable to pay his mortgage, he moved back in with his parents. His reputation was ruined, and finding stable employment became nearly impossible. The same fate seemed to befall his parents, with their reputation taking a hit in the community. Sarah's friends reported that they lived in constant unease, with the social backlash being far more painful than any legal consequences. With most matters settled and my health improving, my parents, my baby, and I visited Sarah to express our gratitude. Sarah and her husband were genuinely happy to see us and doted on my baby. It was a warm and welcoming atmosphere. My parents and Sarah quickly became close, and Sarah's husband got along very well with my father. Our families grew even closer over time. Unexpectedly, Sarah's son, who was around my age, and I began to develop a deeper connection. A few years later, the idea of becoming part of Sarah's family didn't seem so far-fetched anymore. Life truly has a way of surprising you.